The maintenance bay of the Celestial Harmony hummed with the usual symphony of alien machinery. Coulson wiped grease from his hands, surveying the hydraulic system he'd just repaired. 3 years working on this interstellar diplomatic vessel, and he still marveled at the diversity of species passing through its corridors. But a soft whimpering caught his attention. Behind a stack of coolant containers, Coulson found a small creature no bigger than a house cat. Scales shimmered like polished obsidian, and tiny wings, no larger than his palms, trembled against its back. A dragon hatchling. Its large, amber eyes were wet with tears, and clutched in its delicate claws was a broken toy. A miniature spacecraft split cleanly in two. "Hey there, little one," Coulson said softly, crouching down. The hatchling hiccuped, a small puff of smoke escaping its nostrils. The creature held up the broken toy plaintively. Coulson's heart melted. He'd grown up with 3 younger siblings. He knew that look of desperate, inconsolable loss that only a broken favorite toy could cause. "Let me see what I can do," he murmured, carefully taking the pieces. The toy was exquisitely crafted, probably worth more than his monthly salary. But to this little one, it was priceless for entirely different reasons. Coulson carried the hatchling and the toy back to his workstation. The creature perched on his toolbox, watching with intense focus as he examined the break. Clean snap, thankfully. He selected his finest bonding agent, the same one used for repairing crystalline navigation components, and carefully applied it to both surfaces. "This stuff bonds at the molecular level," he explained to his attentive audience. "Stronger than the original material. Your ship will be even better than before." The hatchling tilted its head, chirping softly as the adhesive set. Coulson found himself chatting with his small companion. The hatchling couldn't speak standard, but its responses, chirps, smoke puffs, and wing flutters, were remarkably expressive. Coulson learned it had wandered from the diplomatic quarters, and yes, it was terribly sorry for the mess it had made knocking over his coolant containers. "Don't worry about it," Coulson chuckled. "I've dealt with worse." 20 minutes later, he held up the repaired spacecraft. The seam was nearly invisible. The hatchling's eyes widened, and it snatched the toy with a delighted trill, clutching it to its chest before nuzzling against Coulson's arm in gratitude. "You're welcome, little one. Now, should we find your parents?" The hatchling's response was interrupted by the maintenance bay doors sliding open with a pneumatic hiss. Scotty, the ship's liaison officer, stood in the entrance. Her usually composed expression had cracked into something between panic and horror. Behind her loomed a figure that made Coulson's blood run cold. Ambassador Vorthax. The dragon was massive, 3 meters of scaled muscle and ancient authority. Her scales were the same obsidian black as the hatchlings, but edged with silver that spoke of age and power. Her eyes, identical amber to the small creature on Coulson's workstation, swept the room before locking onto her offspring. Coulson's mind raced. Vorthax wasn't just any ambassador. She represented the Draconian Imperium, the single most powerful political entity in this sector. One word from her could end his career. One breath could end his life. "Ambassador," Scotty began, her voice carefully controlled. "We've located." Vorthax wasn't listening. She'd already crossed the bay, her presence overwhelming. Coulson stood frozen as the massive dragon lowered her head to inspect her hatchling. The little one chirped excitedly, holding up the repaired toy. The silence stretched for an eternity. Then Vorthax turned her gaze to Coulson. When she spoke, her voice resonated like distant thunder. "You repaired Zwax's toy." Yes, Ambassador. I didn't realize. The little one was upset, and I just thought." Coulson fumbled for words. "Peace, human." Vorthax's massive head swung back to her offspring, who was now zooming the toy through the air, making enthusiastic engine noises. "I have searched for one capable of mending this treasure for 3 ship cycles. Craftsmen on 7 worlds examined it. All declared the damage irreparable, the materials too precious to risk improper technique." She turned back to Coulson, and he could have sworn her expression softened. "Yet you, a maintenance technician, restored it in moments." "How?" Coulson swallowed hard. "I used molecular bonding adhesive, ma'am. The same grade we use for navigation crystals. The break was clean, so I fixed plenty of my siblings' toys back home. Same principle." "Same principle," Vorthax repeated slowly. A sound rumbled from her chest. Laughter, Coulson realized with shock. Dragons hoard knowledge, human. We study for decades what you call principles. Yet we forget the simplest truth. Sometimes wisdom lies not in knowing everything, but in applying what you know with kindness. She gestured with one massive claw at her hatchling, who had curled up on Coulson's workbench, toy clutched tight, already dozing. ZYX has not slept peacefully since the toy broke. You have given my child something our entire Imperium could not: comfort and joy. Scotty's jaw had dropped. Coulson felt his own head spinning. Vorthax continued. I came to this vessel to negotiate the Tauri trade agreements. Tedious work, filled with beings who see only advantage in politics. Her eyes fixed on Coulson with unexpected warmth. You saw only a child in distress. This is why your species fascinates us, human. Your empathy transcends protocol. She carefully scooped up the sleeping ZYX, who murmured contentedly. I will remember this kindness, Coulson of Earth. Should you ever require the favor of the Draconian Imperium, you need only ask. As she turned to leave, Scotty trailing behind her in stunned silence, Vorthax paused at the door. Also, you are promoted. Effective immediately, you are Chief of Maintenance Operations. Your first task: teach your methods to my engineers. They could learn much from human ingenuity. The doors closed, leaving Coulson alone in the sudden quiet of the maintenance bay. He looked down at his hands, still slightly stained with grease, holding a tube of industrial adhesive, and laughed. 3 years of competent work had earned him steady employment. 20 minutes of basic kindness had earned him the favor of dragons. Humanity, he thought with a grin, had always been good at punching above its weight class. Sometimes all it took was the willingness to help, a bit of glue, and the understanding that a child's tears mattered, no matter what species they belonged to. In the distance, he could hear Scotty's voice over the comm system. All personnel, please note. Coulson Hayes has been promoted to Chief of Maintenance Operations by order of Ambassador Vorthax. Also, someone please explain to me what the hell just happened. Coulson chuckled, returning to his, now former, workstation. He had a lot to learn about his new position. But first, he needed to organize his tools. After all, you never knew when you might need to fix a dragon's toy.